At dawn, the red compass needle pointed south. Tesla spread desert maps across his laboratory desk. The mechanical pigeon refused another dangerous mission immediately. Sand leaked from the compass and formed arrows. A buried city pulsed beneath the great desert. Tesla opened plans for a solar sandcrawler. Brass wheels, heat shields, and crystal sails appeared. He packed water, tools, batteries, and emergency biscuits. The pigeon received goggles and looked betrayed. By noon, the desert expedition finally began. The airship carried them toward endless golden dunes. Heat shimmered below like a wavy copper ocean. Tesla lowered the crawler onto burning sand carefully. The compass needle spun once, then locked forward. The crawler rolled ahead on heated brass wheels. A sandstorm suddenly rose from the silent horizon. Tesla closed the crystal canopy and pushed harder. The pigeon wiped sand from its tiny goggles. Through the storm, giant ruins flashed briefly ahead. Then a metal hand burst upward from dunes. The crawler stopped beside the enormous buried hand. Its fingers were taller than desert palm trees. Ancient blue light glowed between joints and cracks. Tesla brushed sand away from a copper wrist. A symbol matched the new red compass needle. The hand slowly pointed toward a nearby dune. Tesla followed the direction and found stone stairs. Half-buried gates stood beneath drifting sheets of sand. The pigeon pecked a switch shaped like a sun. The city gates groaned and opened inward. Warm air rushed from the darkness below. Tesla drove inside before the storm returned. The gate closed, trapping sand outside safely. Hidden lamps awakened along a buried avenue. Glass domes shimmered beneath layers of golden dust. Silent fountains stood frozen with crystal sand. Metal trees held bronze leaves instead of fruit. The whole city slept beneath the desert. Tesla named it the Sand City of Solara. The pigeon bowed at nothing in particular. A giant square opened in the city center. Below it lay gears larger than windmills. A clockwork sun hung motionless above the pit. Tesla studied broken mirrors surrounding the metal sun. Each mirror once directed light through the city. Without sunlight, every machine had slowly fallen silent. The red compass led Tesla to an archive hall. Sand floated inside jars without touching glass walls. Hologram images showed inventors wearing desert robes. One image pointed toward a sleeping iron giant. Tesla entered a chamber beneath the archive hall. There stood the buried guardian, Atlas of Dunes. The giant machine wore sandstone armor and solar plates. One red eye glowed faintly through drifting dust. Atlas projected pictures across the chamber walls. The city had balanced heat, wind, and water. Then a mirror storm shattered the solar crown. Sand flooded the engines and buried the streets. Atlas waited centuries for a careful repair. Tesla promised help with one confident nod. First, Tesla inspected the frozen clockwork sun above. Its center axle was jammed by glass sand. The pigeon sneezed and sparkled for several seconds. Tesla climbed the sun frame using magnetic boots. He cleaned the axle with sound-shaping vibrations. Golden grains fell like glowing desert snow. The axle turned, but only halfway smoothly. 3 outer mirrors still pointed in wrong directions. Tesla marked their locations on a brass map. One mirror tower lay beneath collapsed streets. Tesla drove the crawler through narrow, buried alleys. He found the first mirror crushed by stone. Anti-gravity boots lifted the broken frame easily. The pigeon installed bolts while hanging upside down. Tesla angled the mirror toward the open sky. A bright beam struck the clockwork sun briefly. The second mirror tower rose from a sand pit. Its gears spun backward and kicked dust everywhere. Tesla reversed the gears using the pressure crystal. Another beam crossed the city in brilliant gold. The final mirror stood atop the palace roof. A sand cyclone guarded it like a living wall. Tesla anchored cables from the crawler to columns. He walked through the storm with insulated boots. The pigeon stayed inside and pretended bravery later. Tesla reached the mirror and found cracked lenses. He repaired them using star glass from his kit. The restored mirror caught the evening sun perfectly. 3 beams met, and the clockwork sun awakened. Light poured through tunnels beneath the sleeping city. Atlas of dunes began moving beneath the chamber. The red eye brightened into a warm amber glow. Streets lit up as fountains began flowing again. But the awakening triggered a massive desert quake. Sand cascaded from ceilings across the lower districts. Atlas could not rise with blocked leg engines. Tesla opened a floor hatch under the Guardian. Below, twin piston legs were buried badly. The pigeon located emergency controls behind a panel. Tesla blasted compacted sand with sound pulses. The piston legs moved, then locked once more. A black meteor shard jammed the final joint. Tesla remembered the polar reactor blocking crystal immediately. He trapped the shard with a moonlight jar. Atlas rose slowly and shook dust everywhere. The giant Guardian opened roof vents across Solara. Fresh night air swept through the buried city. Hidden canals filled with cool underground water. Atlas projected a map of other desert machines. One marker flashed above a mountain cloud fortress. Tesla copied the new location into his folder. The archive gifted him a sun crystal compass ring. The pigeon tried wearing the ring like a crown. Atlas escorted the crawler back to the gates. Outside, dawn painted the dunes with soft gold. The buried city sank safely beneath protective shields. Tesla returned home by airship across the sunrise. In the lab, the new ring pointed upward. Clouds gathered into the outline of a tower. High above the mountains, golden engines began humming. Nikola Tesla was famous for imagining inventions far beyond his time. Wireless electricity, remote-controlled machines, and devices that seemed impossible were only part of his story. But what if Tesla kept his strangest ideas hidden from the world? One quiet night, Tesla stood alone inside his laboratory. Copper coils hummed around him, blue sparks jumped between brass switches, and a light bulb glowed in his hand without a single wire. Behind a dusty curtain, he uncovered an iron door with 3 strange dials. Tesla turned them carefully. Electricity crawled around the frame, the locks clicked, and the door opened into a narrow underground corridor. At the end was a circular archive filled with cabinets, rolled blueprints, and sealed wooden chests. Tesla opened the largest chest and found dozens of folders tied with colored ribbons. Each one carried a mysterious symbol. He lifted the first folder. A tiny electric city appeared above it. The first secret project was a city powered without wires inside a hidden workshop. Tesla had built a complete model town with homes, factories, street lamps, and a tiny train. He placed a copper sphere in the center and connected it to a miniature transmission tower. Then he pulled a lever. Blue energy rings spread across the model. Street lamps glowed. Factory wheels began to turn. The train started moving and circled Tesla's shoes. Tesla tried to step over it, lost his balance, and fell backward into a chair. The train continued proudly, as if it had won. Tesla tested more wireless devices. A lamp switched on across the room. A fan blew his mustache sideways. A floating frying pan cooked a pancake using nothing but energy from the air. Then the pancake launched upward and landed on Tesla's head. The experiment was not perfect, but it worked. In Tesla's imagined city, electricity could reach every building without cables. The second folder contained a small mechanical oscillator. Tesla attached the device to a stone column in the basement. At first, it produced only a quiet hum. Then cups began shaking. Tools bounced across tables. Hanging bulbs swung in perfect rhythm. Tesla adjusted one tiny control. A brick jumped out of the wall and landed in his hand. He placed it back, but the entire wall rippled like a curtain. Tesla tried to stop the machine. He turned the power down. Nothing happened. He covered it with a cushion. The cushion shook like jelly. Finally, he sat on top of it, bouncing rapidly while trying to look serious. Then he noticed that the machine was not even connected to power. Tesla struck a tuning fork. A golden sound wave crossed the room and cancelled the vibration completely. Everything became still. One final screw fell from the ceiling and landed on his head. The third folder described a camera that could photograph thoughts. Tesla built a brass box with a crystal lens and connected it to a helmet covered in copper contacts. He sat in front of the machine and imagined a perfect electric tower. The screen displayed exactly what he had pictured. A magnificent tower made of lightning. Then Tesla accidentally thought about lunch. The tower became a giant sandwich. He tried to focus, but the sandwich grew wings. Pigeons, gears, stars, and teacups filled the screen. The camera began printing endless strips of paper until Tesla disappeared beneath them. When he climbed out, he found one useful design hidden among the nonsense. A compact energy engine. Naturally, Tesla tested the camera on a sleeping cat. The screen showed a mountain of fish and soft cushions. The cat woke, and the image became a giant paw reaching toward the camera. Tesla quickly ended the experiment. Some thoughts, he decided, were better left private. Among the printed images was another invention, a weather tower. Tesla climbed onto the laboratory roof and assembled a tall machine with copper rings, glass spheres, and a lightning rod. The moment he activated it, a tiny dark cloud appeared directly above his head. The rest of the sky remained sunny. The cloud rained only on Tesla. He moved it over a flower pot, and the flower grew into a sunflower taller than he was. Another control created a spiral breeze that swept leaves into a perfect circle. The breeze soon became strong enough to lift Tesla by his coat. He pressed the emergency button. The wind stopped, every object dropped, and an open umbrella landed perfectly above him. Tesla calmly poured tea, while the tower separated a storm into neat bands and created a rainbow across the sky. The next folder led him to a secret hangar. Suspended from the ceiling was a silver airship with copper fins, glowing blue rings, and no propeller. Tesla installed a crystal core, climbed into the cockpit, and pulled a lever. The airship rose silently. It glided above forests, rivers, and distant towns. It could hover, slide sideways, and turn without making a sound. Then Tesla pressed the wrong button. His seat rotated backward. For several uncomfortable seconds, he flew forward while facing the tail of his own machine. The seat returned to normal just before the airship entered a cloud. It emerged covered in sparkling droplets, and Tesla activated an electric shield that turned the water into a glowing ring. He landed safely on a grassy hill. The moment he stepped out, the airship began floating away because he had forgotten to switch it off. Tesla jumped, grabbed the lever, and pulled it back down. Even a genius could forget simple things. The next invention was much smaller, a mechanical pigeon. Tesla built it from brass, copper, and blue glass. It could fly, scan electrical signals, carry messages, and find its way home. During its first test, it landed directly on Tesla's mustache. After being moved to his finger, the bird flew through the city. It passed rooftops and clock towers, discovered unusual signals, and even freed a real pigeon trapped behind a wooden crate. The two birds returned together. The real pigeon immediately stole a shiny screw from Tesla's workbench. Tesla recovered it only after offering a bowl of seeds. The mechanical pigeon then projected an image of a remote mountain valley. At its center stood a circular stone ring. Tesla traveled there in a small electric carriage. The stone ring was ancient and covered with geometric patterns. Tesla placed a blue crystal into a brass socket, the center of the ring filled with a mirror-like surface. But it did not show an ordinary reflection. It showed the valley beneath a different sky. Tesla waved. His reflection waved 1 second later. Then the mirror revealed a future city powered by clean wireless energy. Towers glowed without cables. Vehicles moved silently. Homes drew power directly from the air. For a moment, Tesla saw the world he had always imagined. Then hundreds of tiny Teslas appeared, all arguing over one small wrench. Tesla quickly adjusted the frequency. The mirror stabilized and displayed golden paths branching toward many possible futures. It was not showing one certain future. It was showing choices. Tesla removed the crystal, and the mirror dissolved into harmless sparks. Back in the laboratory, he used the crystal to power a teleportation doorway. He placed an apple in front of the portal and activated it. The apple rolled through and appeared across the room twice as large. A teacup came out tiny enough to sit on his fingertip. A rubber ball emerged at the correct size, but bounced across the ceiling, as though gravity had forgotten where the floor was. Tesla carefully placed one foot through the portal. His shoe appeared across the room and tapped the mechanical pigeon on the shoulder. The startled bird flew in circles around his head. Tesla switched the machine off. Teleportation needed more testing. Only one folder remained. It described a cosmic radio receiver made from copper loops, glass tubes, crystal headphones, and a rotating map of the stars. Tesla aimed the largest antenna toward the night sky and listened. At first there was only static, then he heard a pulse. 3 soft beats, repeating again and again. The signal changed into a strange musical rhythm. Tesla tried to remain serious, but his foot began tapping. The mechanical pigeon danced on the control panel. A glowing image of the moon appeared above the receiver. Near its edge, a tiny geometric object flashed. Tesla transmitted 3 gentle electric pulses. The object flashed 3 times in reply. A burst of static turned Tesla's hair into an enormous cloud. The mechanical pigeon used one wing to smooth it back into place. Tesla recorded the mysterious signal on a spinning glass cylinder and stood silently beneath the stars. Perhaps the signal came from another inventor. Perhaps it came from another world. Or perhaps the universe was simply curious about the man who never stopped asking impossible questions. Tesla returned every folder to the underground archive and locked the chest. But one final folder slipped onto the floor. Later, he found it beside his desk. Inside was a drawing of a gigantic machine shaped like a star. A spark rose from the page and formed a tiny spinning galaxy above his hand. Tesla smiled beneath his famous mustache and raised one finger. The secret archive was not empty, and this adventure was only the beginning. Just before sunrise, the underwater signal pulsed again beneath Tesla's laboratory. The blue light on his workbench blinked 3 times, paused, then blinked 3 more. Tesla compared the rhythm with the star map from the floating observatory. The new route pointed directly beneath the Atlantic Ocean. At its end, a hidden city glowed like a second constellation. Tesla unrolled plans for a copper submarine, shaped like an elegant mechanical fish. The mechanical pigeon studied the drawing and immediately hid behind the star tree. Tesla promised the journey would be perfectly safe, which made the pigeon more suspicious. He packed tools, starlight batteries, emergency biscuits, and several dry mustache combs. By nightfall, the copperfish submarine stood ready inside a secret launch chamber. The submarine had brass fins, glowing blue windows, and a crystal-powered tail. Tesla installed the star engine battery behind 3 waterproof doors. The mechanical pigeon received a tiny diving helmet and looked deeply offended. Tesla pressed the launch lever, and the chamber filled with rushing seawater. The copperfish slipped through an underwater tunnel beneath the laboratory. City lights faded behind them as the submarine entered the open ocean. Schools of silverfish followed the glowing vessel through dark blue water. Tesla waved at them, and the mechanical pigeon copied him 1 second later. A curious octopus tapped the glass and examined Tesla's mustache. Tesla politely tapped back, beginning the strangest scientific greeting of his career. The submarine descended beyond the sunlight into a quiet world of shadows. Tesla activated a ring of soft blue lamps around the copper hull. Glowing jellyfish drifted past, like floating lanterns in a midnight parade. The mechanical pigeon tried to count them but became distracted by its own reflection. A deep current pushed the submarine sideways toward a forest of giant seaweed. Tesla turned the steering wheel left, but the submarine turned upward. He turned right, and the vessel performed a slow circle around one confused whale. The whale watched patiently while Tesla corrected the controls. Tesla finally discovered that the steering labels had been installed upside down. He rotated the entire control panel and continued with much greater dignity. A mountain-sized shadow appeared ahead beneath the ocean floor. The hidden city slowly emerged from the darkness behind enormous coral towers. Its glass domes glowed gold, and blue energy flowed through transparent streets. No smoke, wires, or moving engines could be seen anywhere. The whole city seemed powered by the ocean itself. Tesla guided the copper submarine toward a circular entrance gate. The gate remained closed until the mechanical pigeon accidentally sneezed inside its helmet. The sound created 3 perfect pulses matching the mysterious signal. The ancient gate opened, revealing a bright tunnel filled with bubbles. Tesla stared at the pigeon, who pretended the entire event had been intentional. The submarine entered a vast underwater harbor, filled with silent mechanical creatures. Brass seahorses carried cargo between glowing platforms. Mechanical turtles cleaned the glass domes with rotating brushes. A giant copper manta ray floated above the harbor, like a peaceful airship. Tesla docked beside a staircase that remained completely dry beneath the sea. He stepped out and tested the invisible water barrier with one careful finger. The barrier bent like clear jelly, but kept every drop outside. The mechanical pigeon walked through confidently and immediately slipped on the polished floor. Tesla helped it up while trying not to laugh. Together, they entered the abandoned city beneath the Atlantic. Inside the first dome, transparent buildings curved around a central blue fountain. The fountain flowed upward instead of downward. Each drop became a tiny glowing sphere before returning to the pool. Tesla collected one sphere inside a glass jar for careful study. The sphere escaped and began orbiting his head like a miniature planet. The mechanical pigeon tried to catch it and collided with a floating bench. The bench politely moved aside as though avoiding further trouble. Tesla realized that gravity inside the city could be redirected by thought. He imagined the sphere returning to the fountain, and it obeyed immediately. Then the pigeon imagined biscuits, and every nearby chair became biscuit-shaped. Tesla entered a hall containing hundreds of shells connected by copper threads. Each shell whispered a different sound from somewhere in the ocean. One carried whale songs, another storms, and another the ticking of distant machines. Tesla placed a shell near his ear and heard his own laboratory clock. The city had built a communication network through water. The mechanical pigeon listened to another shell and heard thousands of pigeons at once. It dropped the shell and backed away in complete alarm. Tesla traced the copper threads toward a glowing chamber below. The threads converged around a giant crystal, shaped like a frozen wave. The crystal pulsed with the same rhythm that had called them across the ocean. Tesla approached the wave crystal while blue symbols appeared in the water around it. The symbols formed images of the city during its brightest age. Inventors once used ocean currents to power homes, farms, and transport. They built machines that cleaned water and repaired damaged coral. But one day, the central current beneath the city changed direction. The machines lost power, and the inhabitants left before the domes failed. The city had waited in darkness for the current to return. Tesla studied the crystal and discovered that the current had not vanished. It had been trapped inside a gigantic machine beneath the seabed. Something below the city was still running after hundreds of years. Tesla and the pigeon entered a transparent elevator leading beneath the ocean floor. The elevator descended through layers of coral, rock, and glowing minerals. Far below, enormous gears turned inside a cavern, filled with seawater. At the center stood a machine shaped like a sleeping mechanical whale. Its metal ribs surrounded a spinning sphere of compressed ocean current. Tesla named it the tidal heart. The machine was not stealing the current intentionally. A broken control arm had locked it into one endless charging cycle. Tesla opened his toolbox and prepared to repair a machine larger than a building. The mechanical pigeon opened a much smaller toolbox and copied him proudly. Tesla climbed across the tidal heart using magnetic boots. Each step created small blue sparks across the ancient metal ribs. The pigeon flew beside him carrying bolts and one completely unnecessary spoon. Tesla reached the broken control arm near the spinning current sphere. The arm was bent around a crystal gear that moved faster than a clock. He used the anti-gravity boots to lift the heavy arm without touching the sphere. The pigeon inserted a replacement bolt, but chose the spoon by mistake. The spoon bent instantly and flew into Tesla's hat. Tesla replaced it with the correct bolt and tightened the mechanism. The tidal heart slowed, then released a gentle wave through the cavern. Energy rushed upward through transparent pipes beneath the city. Dark streets brightened one after another across every dome. The upward fountain transformed into a column of liquid starlight. Mechanical turtles, seahorses, and manta rays awakened throughout the harbor. Tesla watched the city return to life from the cavern window. Then the tidal heart began beating faster than before. A warning light flashed across its metal ribs. Tesla realized the released current was colliding with the star engine battery. The two energies created a growing whirlpool around the submarine harbor. The mechanical pigeon pointed toward the surface and flapped in urgent circles. Tesla raced back through the underground elevator as the city trembled gently. Inside the harbor, water spun outside the domes like a giant glass wheel. The copper submarine pulled against its docking cables. Tesla disconnected the star engine battery from the submarine. The whirlpool weakened, but the city lights began fading again. Tesla needed a power source that could balance stars and tides. He remembered the silver seed growing inside his laboratory. One small star fruit remained inside his emergency case. Tesla placed it beside the wave crystal in the communication chamber. The two lights blended into a calm turquoise glow. The balanced energy spread through the city without disturbing the ocean current. The whirlpool disappeared, and the harbor became peaceful again. The tidal heart settled into a slow, steady rhythm. Glass domes shone beneath the Atlantic like enormous lanterns. The city's machines began repairing coral around the outer walls. Mechanical fish planted new seagrass along the ocean floor. The upward fountain displayed a glowing map of the entire ocean. One region blinked red near a deep underwater trench. Tesla saw the outline of something enormous moving beneath the map. The pigeon covered its eyes, then peeked through its copper feathers. Before investigating the new mystery, Tesla explored the city's central archive. Thousands of transparent books floated inside bubbles of air. Tesla touched one bubble, and the book opened by itself. Its pages displayed machines powered by waves, heat, salt, and moonlight. One design showed a bridge connecting the ocean city with the surface. Another showed a vessel capable of traveling beneath the seabed. Tesla copied both designs into his secret folder. The mechanical pigeon found a recipe for seaweed biscuits. It tasted one sample and immediately filed the recipe under dangerous experiments. Tesla collected a small crystal compass as a gift from the city. Tesla returned to the copper submarine as the restored harbor gates opened. The mechanical creatures gathered along the platforms to watch them leave. The giant copper manta ray escorted the submarine beyond the city domes. Tesla looked back at the glowing city. Beneath the dark ocean, the crystal compass pointed not toward north, but toward unanswered questions. During the journey home, it suddenly turned toward the deep trench. A low pulse traveled through the water and shook the submarine windows. Far below, two enormous blue eyes opened beneath the seabed. Tesla smiled and placed a fresh folder on his work table. The ocean city was awake, but something older had awakened with it. Back in his laboratory, Tesla watched the crystal compass spin toward the Atlantic Trench. The compass ignored north and pointed only toward the enormous blue eyes below. Every few seconds, a deep pulse rattled glass jars on Tesla's shelves. The transparent star tree dimmed whenever the underwater signal passed through the room. Tesla compared the pulse with records from the restored ocean city. The pattern was not a warning, but a slow mechanical heartbeat. His mechanical pigeon placed a tiny pillow over its head and pretended to sleep. Tesla unrolled a new blueprint for a stronger deep-sea exploration vessel. This submarine would survive pressure strong enough to crush ordinary steel. By sunset, the next impossible expedition had already begun. Tesla reinforced the copperfish submarine with curved plates of star metal. He added crystal pressure windows, surrounded by thick brass rings. 4 magnetic fins unfolded from the hull like mechanical wings. A glowing drill opened from the submarine's nose for cutting ancient rock. The mechanical pigeon received a round pressure helmet. With 2 tiny lamps, it tested the helmet by knocking its beak against Tesla's toolbox. Tesla packed comet batteries, repair tools, biscuits, and the crystal compass. He also installed an emergency tea kettle beside the navigation controls. The launch chamber filled with water as blue lights activated across the hull. The upgraded copper submarine disappeared into the Atlantic before midnight. The restored ocean city welcomed Tesla with glowing domes beneath the dark sea. Mechanical seahorses guided his submarine through the harbor entrance. The giant copper manta ray waited beside the city's central tower. Its wings displayed a map leading toward the deepest trench. Tesla connected the crystal compass to the submarine's steering system. The mechanical pigeon inspected the map while wearing its helmet backward. Tesla quietly turned the helmet around before the pigeon noticed. The city gates opened, revealing a narrow route between coral mountains. Tesla waved goodbye to the mechanical creatures gathered on the platforms. The The submarine entered the darkness beyond the city's protective lights. Sunlight vanished completely as the copper submarine crossed the trench edge. The ocean below looked like an endless black sky without stars. Tesla activated every lamp, but the darkness swallowed most of their light. Strange fish with transparent bodies followed the submarine from a distance. One fish carried its own glowing lantern directly above its enormous mouth. The pigeon copied the fish by holding a small bulb over its helmet. A current suddenly pulled the submarine downward faster than expected. Tesla grabbed the controls, while loose biscuits floated around the cabin. The emergency kettle calmly continued boiling during the entire fall. The submarine finally stabilized beside a cliff descending beyond sight. Two enormous blue eyes opened inside the darkness below the submarine. Each eye was wider than one of the ocean city's glass domes. Tesla stared through the pressure window, while the pigeon hid behind his shoulder. The eyes moved closer, revealing metal eyelids covered with coral and stone. A gigantic mechanical face emerged from the wall of the trench. Its ancient bronze surface resembled a whale, a dragon, and a submarine together. The creature released a pulse that pushed Tesla's vessel backward. The crystal compass answered with a calm turquoise flash. The enormous machine stopped moving and studied the tiny copper submarine. Tesla named the ancient guardian the Abyssal Colossus. A circular opening appeared beneath the Colossus's right eye. Tesla guided the submarine through the opening into a tunnel inside its head. The tunnel walls contained gears larger than houses and cables, thick as bridges. Blue fluid moved through transparent pipes like glowing blood. The submarine docked beside a platform covered in ancient symbols. Tesla stepped out wearing magnetic boots and carrying the crystal compass. The mechanical pigeon followed with one lamp pointed forward and one backward. The platform tilted, but invisible gravity held both explorers safely in place. A deep metallic voice echoed through the machine without using words. Images appeared in the air, inviting Tesla toward the central chamber. Tesla crossed a bridge suspended above thousands of slowly turning gears. The pigeon dropped one screw and watched it fall for nearly a minute. At the bridge's end stood a sealed door shaped like a giant eye. The crystal compass opened the door with 3 turquoise pulses inside. A mechanical ocean floated inside a transparent sphere. Tiny currents, storms, and glowing islands moved across its surface. Tesla realized the sphere controlled pressure throughout the Atlantic Trench. The Abyssal Colossus had once protected the ocean from violent earthquakes. Centuries of damage had weakened its internal balance system. The recent awakening meant the machine was beginning to fail. A cracked pressure regulator trembled beside the floating ocean sphere. Each tremor sent a dangerous wave toward the restored ocean city. Tesla opened the regulator and found hundreds of crystal gears inside. Several gears had fused together beneath layers of black mineral dust. The pigeon used a tiny brush to clean one gear with exaggerated care. Tesla applied moonlight oil collected from the floating observatory. The first crystal gear began turning smoothly with a musical hum. Then every remaining gear started spinning far too quickly. Tesla's mustache stretched sideways as pressure winds filled the chamber. He grabbed the regulator wheel before it could tear free. The runaway regulator opened hidden vents throughout the Colossus. Powerful streams of bubbles erupted from its metal body into the trench. Outside, the ancient guardian began rising from the seabed. Entire cliffs shook as coral and stone fell from its enormous back. The ocean city detected the movement and activated emergency shields. Tesla struggled to slow the machine using the regulator wheel. The pigeon flew into a control panel and accidentally pressed 12 switches. 11 switches made the situation worse, but one opened a maintenance route. Tesla spotted a second control chamber inside the Colossus's chest. He raced toward it, while the giant guardian continued rising. Tesla descended through a vertical shaft using his anti-gravity boots. The mechanical pigeon followed inside a small brass tool basket. Rotating rings tried to redirect them into several incorrect corridors. Tesla used the crystal compass to identify the only stable path. One ring flipped Tesla upside down while the pigeon remained perfectly upright. Tesla corrected his boots and continued with slightly less dignity. They reached the chest chamber beside a roaring blue energy core. The core looked like a miniature whirlpool trapped inside glass. 3 broken stabilizer arms swung wildly around the spinning current. Tesla realized all 3 had to be repaired at the same moment. Tesla attached magnetic cables to the 3 moving stabilizer arms. The pigeon carried replacement bolts toward the first damaged joint. A sudden energy pulse turned every metal tool weightless. Wrenches and screws floated around Tesla like a confused silver cloud. He activated one anti-gravity boot and kicked the tools toward the work platform. The pigeon caught the correct bolt, but also caught the emergency teaspoon. Tesla repaired the first arm while balancing above the spinning core. The pigeon tightened the second arm using both wings and its beak. The third stabilizer remained too far away for either explorer to reach. Tesla launched the teaspoon from a magnetic tool like a tiny rocket. The flying teaspoon struck the third stabilizer's release latch perfectly. The final arm moved into position around the blue energy core. Tesla tightened the last joint as all 3 stabilizers locked together. The trapped whirlpool changed from violent blue to calm turquoise. Throughout the Colossus, enormous gears slowed into a steady rhythm. The Guardian stopped rising and settled gently beside the trench wall. The Ocean City's emergency shields switched off one dome at a time. Tesla and the pigeon celebrated with the last undamaged biscuits. The pigeon discovered its biscuit had absorbed seawater through the helmet. It silently placed the soggy biscuit inside Tesla's coat pocket. The repaired Colossus projected a new message inside its chest chamber. Images showed it guarding the oceans long before Tesla's own century. It had redirected earthquakes, repaired trenches, and guided lost sea creatures. The message also revealed several other guardians hidden around the world. One slept beneath polar ice, another beneath a desert, and one above the clouds. Tesla copied their locations into a fresh secret folder. The crystal compass suddenly gained 3 additional glowing needles. Each needle pointed toward a different sleeping machine. The mechanical pigeon tried to bend all 3 needles toward home. The compass politely returned them to their original directions. Before Tesla left, the Colossus opened a chamber containing ancient tools. One device could shape metal using only sound and vibration. Another could store enormous pressure inside a marble-sized crystal. Tesla selected one small turquoise crystal as a repair gift. The Colossus lowered the copper submarine safely from its internal dock. Tesla returned to the cockpit, while the pigeon removed its pressure helmet. The enormous Guardian closed its mechanical eye and returned to watchful silence. Blue symbols glowed across its back, like stars beneath the ocean. The submarine climbed toward the restored city through calmer water. Mechanical manta rays escorted Tesla beneath the shining glass domes. Tesla returned home just as morning sunlight reached his laboratory windows. He placed the turquoise precious crystal beside the star seed and wave crystal. The 3 inventions created a floating map of Earth above his desk. Glowing points appeared beneath oceans, deserts, mountains, and frozen lands. One point beneath the polar ice began flashing much faster than the others. A tiny projection showed a tower trapped inside a moving glacier. Then the projection revealed a shadow walking inside the frozen tower. The mechanical pigeon slowly placed its diving helmet inside a locked drawer. Tesla opened a new folder and drew plans for an electric ice crawler. Far in the north, something inside the glacier opened one golden eye. Long after midnight, Nikola Tesla opened the mysterious, star-shaped folder. Moonlight touched the page, and a hidden blueprint began shimmering. It described a machine that collected energy directly from distant stars. Tesla named it the Star Engine, though it resembled an electrified clock. He carried the folder into his secret laboratory beneath the city. Copper coils awakened as he spread the blueprint across his work table. Even the mechanical pigeon stopped sorting screws and stared. Tesla smiled, rolled up his sleeves, and started building immediately. By sunrise, gears and wires covered nearly every inch of floor. At the center stood a golden machine shaped like a star. Tesla installed a blue crystal and connected 6 enormous copper coils. The final bolt tightened, and every compass began spinning wildly. A teaspoon rose from the table and floated past his face. Then wrenches, books, chairs, and one confused cat followed. Tesla had not captured starlight, but he had misplaced gravity. He grabbed the table while his shoes left the floor. The mechanical pigeon discovered it could fly without moving its wings. It drifted upside down with a deeply offended expression. Tesla reached for the emergency lever, but it floated away. He caught it using a net designed for electrical sparks. The engine stopped, and everything returned to the floor together. Papers landed softly, tools landed loudly, and the cat landed on Tesla. After recovering, Tesla installed a large gravity control wheel. He tested it using one apple and several heavy sandbags. The apple floated perfectly, while the sandbags stayed firmly grounded. Tesla proudly wrote notes as the apple drifted into a lamp. He lowered the power until it hovered above his hand. Next, he built anti-gravity boots from leather and copper. The first step lifted him gently above the wooden floor. The second sent him gliding sideways like a confused waiter. Tesla tried turning left, but the boots preferred right. He circled a coil and floated through a hanging curtain. The pigeon chased him while carrying the instructions in its beak. Tesla finally stopped by grabbing the laboratory chandelier. He added small steering fins beside each boot heel. Now he could climb the air like invisible stairs. He rose above the laboratory and admired his glowing inventions. Then one boot sparked and slowly rotated him upside down. Tesla stayed calm because nobody was there to laugh. The pigeon's tilted head somehow felt exactly like laughter. With gravity controlled, Tesla aimed the star engine skyward. He opened the observatory roof beneath a clear night sky. 8 crystal arms unfolded like a shining mechanical flower. Blue beams connected the crystals with the brightest stars. The engine gathered tiny particles of pale silver light. Tesla trapped them inside batteries lined with copper threads. Each battery glowed and became lighter than the surrounding air. One escaped his hand and floated toward the open roof. The pigeon caught it, but both continued drifting upward. Tesla pulled them down with a magnetized fishing hook. The glowing battery powered a small elevator without cables. It rose inside a blue column toward the observatory roof. Tesla expanded the platform and added a brass safety railing. The mechanical pigeon inspected every bolt with great seriousness. Tesla placed a potted plant aboard for the first test. The platform climbed above the laboratory and entered the clouds. It returned covered in snow, followed by a tiny rain cloud. The cloud rained whenever Tesla touched anything made of metal. He trapped it inside a jar marked with a cloud symbol. The star engine had created a road through the sky. Tesla prepared anti-gravity boots, goggles, tools, tea, and biscuits. He also packed 3 emergency combs for his famous mustache. The pigeon carried the map because Tesla's pockets were full. Together, they boarded the floating elevator beneath the stars. The platform rose silently beyond the laboratory roof. The city became a glowing miniature far below them. They passed clouds, migrating birds, and one surprised weather balloon. Tesla waved, and the balloon appeared to wave back. Higher still, the sky darkened and the stars brightened. A silver pathway formed ahead from concentrated starlight. The elevator followed the pathway towards something hidden above clouds. It was neither a moon nor anything shown on Tesla's maps. A floating observatory waited there, built from silver and black glass. No door appeared, only the symbol from Tesla's folder. He inserted one battery, and the wall opened silently. Inside stood ancient machines beneath centuries of silver dust. Tesla entered carefully while the pigeon recorded everything. One machine grew tiny flowers from beams of moonlight. Another folded empty space into small glowing cubes. A third poured liquid darkness into ordinary teacups. Tesla lifted a teacup and immediately lost sight of his hand. He poured the darkness back, and his hand returned wearing a glove. The glove soon changed back into his familiar black sleeve. The mechanical pigeon refused to approach any mysterious teacup. At the observatory's center grew a garden beneath glass. Silver-leaved plants turned slowly toward distant stars. One flower opened and released a miniature glowing moon. It orbited Tesla's head and pulled buttons from his coat. Tesla caught it inside his hat and returned it. The entire garden glowed, apparently pleased with his manners. Beyond the garden stood a chamber filled with thousands of clocks. Some moved forward, others backward. and several seemed thoughtful. The largest clock had a doorway instead of hands. Tesla approached, and the previous 10 seconds suddenly repeated. He approached again, and the same moment repeated once more. Tesla realized the clock had trapped him inside time. He threw a biscuit across the room before another reset. The biscuit struck a hidden switch at exactly the right moment. Time continued, although the pigeon now wore 3 hats. Tesla removed 2 and kept them for future emergencies. The clock doorway opened onto a chamber containing a frozen comet. It hovered inside a magnetic cage, sparkling with golden dust. Picture symbols warned of explosions and a scientist with wild hair. Tesla studied his own hair and found the warning personal. He redirected the comet's energy into an empty battery. The battery filled instantly and hummed like tiny kettles. The frozen comet shrank into a harmless snowball. The pigeon pecked it and created a miniature blizzard. Tesla covered the snowball with his emergency mustache scarf. The blizzard stopped, leaving both explorers covered in frost. The powerful battery awakened every machine inside the observatory. Lights spread across walls as ancient devices turned towards Tesla. A giant map appeared, showing glowing roads between stars. One route connected directly with Earth beneath Tesla's laboratory. Another vanished into a region shaped like a spiral key. Tesla understood the observatory had waited for someone. He touched the console, and a message appeared through images. It showed inventions shared peacefully across many distant worlds. Tesla recognized an invitation rather than a warning. He copied the map and carefully removed the battery. Before leaving, Tesla collected one seed from the moonlight garden. It pulsed like a tiny heartbeat made from stars. He placed it inside a padded box beside the cloud jar. The pigeon discovered an ancient sandwich inside a storage compartment. Tesla examined it and left that mystery completely unopened. They returned to the elevator. As the observatory closed, the silver pathway carried them safely back toward Earth. Below, city lights resembled another beautiful constellation. Tesla promised future journeys would include more fresh sandwiches. The mechanical pigeon remained respectfully unconvinced. Back home, Tesla planted the silver seed in a flower pot. He added water, moonlight, and one measured electrical spark. A transparent tree grew instantly from the ordinary soil. Glowing stars hung from every branch like strange fruit. Each star powered a different invention without wires or smoke. One powered the city model, another powered the weather tower. A third awakened the airship near the laboratory ceiling. The pigeon chose the smallest star as a nightlight. Tesla locked the comet battery behind 3 reinforced doors. Then he recorded every discovery inside the secret folder. Just before dawn, the star map appeared above Tesla's desk. A new route blinked beneath the Atlantic Ocean. It ended at a glowing city hidden deep underwater. Tesla unfolded plans for a submarine shaped like a copper fish. The pigeon studied the drawing, then slowly looked at Tesla. Tesla placed a tiny diving helmet over its head. The pigeon removed it immediately and hid behind the star tree. Tesla laughed and activated the first underwater coil. Far below the ocean, something answered with a blue pulse. The second adventure ended, but another mystery was already calling. Far in the north, the golden eye opened again inside the moving glacier. Back in his laboratory, Tesla's floating Earth map flashed with icy blue light. The polar signal traveled through every coil and froze 1 cup of tea solid. Tesla tapped the frozen cup and heard the same mechanical heartbeat from the trench. The crystal compass pointed north, while all 4 needles trembled at once. The mechanical pigeon quietly locked itself inside the warmest drawer. Tesla opened a fresh folder and revealed plans for an electric ice crawler. The machine resembled a brass beetle with heated wheels and crystal windows. Tesla packed star batteries, pressure crystals, blankets, tools, and emergency soup. Before sunrise, the polar expedition was ready to leave. The ice crawler arrived by airship above a vast white wilderness. Tesla lowered the brass vehicle onto the frozen ground using magnetic cables. The mechanical pigeon wore a tiny fur-lined helmet over its metal head. Tesla activated the heated wheels, melting a narrow path across the ice. Snow blew around them in bright spirals beneath the pale northern sky. The crystal compass pointed toward a glacier shaped like a sleeping giant. Each pulse from the glacier formed cracks of golden light beneath the snow. Tesla increased speed while the pigeon held the map upside down. The crawler climbed a ridge and revealed an enormous tower trapped inside ice. One glowing eye watched them from behind the frozen walls. The tower's metal surface was covered with ancient symbols and thick blue ice. Tesla placed the turquoise pressure crystal against the frozen entrance. A circular door appeared beneath the ice, but refused to open. The pigeon pecked the door 3 times and immediately hurt its beak. Tesla used a sound-shaping tool recovered from the abyssal colossus. Golden vibrations spread through the ice without creating dangerous cracks. The frozen doorway melted into a perfect round tunnel. Warm amber light flowed from deep inside the glacier. Tesla drove the ice crawler through the opening with careful excitement. Behind them, the tunnel sealed itself beneath fresh snow. Inside the glacier, the tower contained halls made from metal and clear ice. Frozen gears hung motionless behind walls like enormous museum displays. Small lights awakened as Tesla's crawler passed beneath each arch. The pigeon's breath formed tiny clouds despite having no lungs. Tesla inspected a frozen control panel covered with delicate crystal levers. One lever moved by itself and released a gust of ancient cold air. The cold instantly froze Tesla's mustache into 2 stiff horizontal points. The pigeon tried to straighten it using a miniature hammer. Tesla warmed his mustache beside a portable coil and continued onward. A trail of golden footprints appeared. Across the icy floor, the glowing footprints led toward a chamber beneath the tower's central shaft. Tesla followed them, while the mechanical pigeon scanned the walls. Each footprint vanished 1 second after he stepped beside it. At the chamber entrance, a tall shadow moved behind thick blue ice. Tesla placed one hand against the frozen surface and felt a steady vibration. The ice became transparent, revealing a giant mechanical guardian inside. It stood upright with bronze armor and a single golden eye. Frost-covered cables connected its back to the entire frozen tower. The guardian slowly raised one hand but could not break free. Tesla named it the Polar Sentinel. The Sentinel projected silent images through its glowing golden eye. The images showed ancient winters growing stronger across the northern oceans. The tower had regulated ice, wind, and ocean temperature for centuries. A meteor storm damaged its solar crown and trapped the Guardian inside. Without repairs, the glacier had begun moving toward warmer seas. If the tower collapsed, violent floods could spread across distant coastlines. Tesla studied a map of the glacier's hidden mechanical routes. 3 frozen energy channels had stopped carrying power underground. The first channel led toward a crystal cave beneath the crawler. The second vanished into a storm chamber near the tower's peak. The third channel ended beneath the Sentinel's frozen chest. Tesla decided to restore the underground channel first. He drove the crawler onto a platform that descended through the ice. The platform passed frozen fish, bubbles, and prehistoric plants trapped nearby. The pigeon stared at one frozen fish that appeared to stare back. At the bottom, Tesla entered a cave filled with blue crystal columns. Electric sparks traveled between the crystals like quiet northern lights. A broken copper bridge separated Tesla from the main energy channel. He activated his anti-gravity boots and floated across the gap. The pigeon followed inside a hanging tool basket, looking deeply unhappy. Tesla reached a cracked crystal conductor surrounded by frozen cables. The conductor leaked cold energy into the cave instead of the tower. He used the sound-shaping tool to separate the fused crystal pieces. Each vibration created musical tones that echoed through the ice. The pigeon accidentally tapped a nearby crystal with its wrench. Every column answered with a loud and beautiful frozen chord. The sound shook loose a harmless avalanche of sparkling snow. Tesla rebuilt the conductor using the turquoise pressure crystal as a brace. Blue energy returned to the underground channel with a steady glow. 1/3 of the frozen tower awakened above them. The platform carried Tesla upward toward the storm chamber. Outside the tower, dark clouds rotated around the mountain peak. Tesla climbed a spiral staircase lined with frozen electrical coils. The pigeon rode on his shoulder to avoid the slippery steps. At the top, they entered a chamber open to the violent sky. A broken solar crown spun above the tower in powerful winds. Lightning struck the crown, but scattered uselessly into the clouds. Tesla attached magnetic cables to the damaged golden rings. A sudden gust lifted the pigeon and its entire tool bag. Tesla caught both using the emergency mustache scarf. Tesla climbed onto the crown wearing anti-gravity boots and insulated gloves. Each golden ring was frozen in a different direction. He released the first ring, using heated bolts from the ice crawler. The second ring spun free and nearly knocked him into the clouds. The pigeon pressed one stabilizer switch at exactly the right moment. Tesla aligned the third ring with the brightest point in the sky. The solar crown opened like a golden flower above the glacier. Moonlight and aurora energy flowed into the tower together. The storm weakened, and stars appeared between the clouds. 2/3 of the polar sentinel's body began glowing. Only the final channel beneath the Guardian's chest remained frozen. Tesla returned to the central chamber carrying the charged star battery. The sentinel's golden eye followed him with growing urgency. Tesla cut through layers of ice using controlled golden sound waves. The mechanical pigeon cleared loose frost with a tiny rotating brush. At last, a cracked heart-shaped reactor appeared beneath the Guardian's armor. The reactor contained frozen sunlight trapped inside transparent gears. Tesla connected the star battery to warm the gears slowly. The first gear turned, then stopped with a sharp metallic sound. Something inside the reactor was blocking the entire mechanism. Tesla opened the reactor and discovered a small black crystal lodged inside. The crystal absorbed heat, electricity, and even light from nearby lamps. It was a fragment from the meteor storm that damaged the tower. Tesla tried pulling it free with magnetic tools, but nothing moved. The pigeon offered the emergency teaspoon with unusual confidence. Tesla attached the spoon to the sound-shaping device as a resonator. A focused musical pulse loosened the black crystal from the gears. The crystal jumped free and floated above Tesla's gloved hand. Tesla sealed it inside a pressure jar lined with moonlight oil. The heart reactor immediately began turning with warm golden light. Power rushed through the polar sentinel from chest to crown. The ice around its arms cracked into harmless, sparkling fragments. The giant Guardian stepped free for the first time in centuries. Its movement shook snow from the tower, but left the glacier stable. The sentinel raised both hands toward the open solar crown. Golden energy spread through underground routes across the entire ice field. The moving glacier slowed and settled into a safe, frozen valley. Storm clouds separated into bright ribbons of northern light. Tesla and the pigeon watched the sky glow green, blue, and gold. The polar sentinel bowed silently toward its two tiny rescuers. The Guardian opened a hidden chamber beneath the tower floor. Inside stood models of other climate machines around the world. One machine controlled desert winds beneath an ancient buried city. Another managed clouds from a fortress floating above the mountains. A third protected forests using roots made from living metal. Tesla copied every location into the expanding secret archive. The crystal compass added one new red needle pointing toward the desert. The pigeon tried covering the needle with its fur-lined helmet. The compass continued pointing through the helmet without difficulty. Tesla smiled because the next mystery had already chosen them. Before leaving, Tesla collected one tiny piece of harmless aurora crystal. The crystal changed color whenever the mechanical pigeon made a sound. Tesla installed it as a lamp inside the ice crawler cabin. The polar sentinel opened a safe tunnel through the glacier wall. Tesla drove outside beneath a calm sky filled with northern lights. The brass airship lifted the crawler from the snow using magnetic cables. Far below, the restored tower glowed inside the transparent glacier. Tesla returned home and placed the black meteor crystal behind 7 locks. The red compass needle pulsed beside plans for a sand-traveling machine. Deep beneath the desert, an ancient metal hand pushed upward through the sand.